this will be the extra tutorial on IK handles. So first off, I'm going to create joint chains because that's the only place where IK handles work. I'll start with single chains. Just place them right on the grid. And double chains. Like that. So what is important for the IK handle is the options you give it. So you have a single chain solver or you have a rotate plane solver. For some reason I have multiple IK chains in my scene. Not just Maya doing something weird. So I'll just create a single chain solver first. And then I'm going to create a rotate plane solver. As you can see, they are oriented a little bit different. Doesn't really matter. But you have two IK handles right now. Just for the sake of it, I'm going to rename them. So, what the single chain IK handle is for is they can both move and orient the joint chain that they're working with. So if I show local rotation axes on these and I move them, you can see they orient the joint. And don't worry about the IK handle line here that is moving all over the place. It's just a display bug for my viewport because of my graphics card. But this is a way to move joints in a single chain. And the single chain IK solver is a little bit tricky because it doesn't really have anything to do with the single chain. The only thing that's actually the difference is when I rotate these. Let's rotate in world space. You can see the one that has the rotate plane solver doesn't rotate the chain, while the single chain solver does rotate the entire chain. That's because the rotate plane solver needs an extra attribute to rotate. So if I create a locator right now, and I just place it somewhere above this chain, and I do a pole vector constraint, you will notice that when I move this locator, it will rotate the chain. And now if I move these, the chain will rotate because it wants to have the vector located towards this locator. So that's the biggest difference between these two IKs. And there's always extra stuff that you can add to it. As you go into the IK handle, you have some extra options. And most of the time, the only thing you actually need to move or manipulate is the twist. And for the rotate planes or the single chain solver, the twist doesn't really do anything. But when I do the twist on the rotate plane, you can rotate or give the rotation an offset based on what the rotate plane is. So actually what's happening here is there's a, let's create a polygon tool, there's a triangle in between these. And let's remove this. So whenever I move this point, the triangle is moved as well. And as you can see, the X value follows the plane of this triangle. Well, if I move this here and I move the point to the locator, you can see it does it again. Now, if I do the same, let's remove the chains that we just created. Remove this. With a 2-bone chain, let's create the IK handle single chain. That's this one, IKSC. And then I'm going to create a rotate plane solver. Same here, but now when I move the IKs in, let's go back to world, you can see the rotations of these joints make sure that they will always be in such a way that the triangle in between is created while the length of the bones is still the same, and it will always aim towards the IK handle from the root. But in this case, yet again, if I rotate, the single chain solver rotates with it, while the rotate plane solver stays there. That's because this rotate plane solver still needs the locator. So I can just place the locator anywhere in the scene, select the IK handle, do a pole vector constraint, and now as you can see, it aims or it tries to rotate towards the locator. However, I place the IK handle, and still the twist can be in effect. So if I put this in -180, it will be in the exact opposite direction of where it needs to aim. And the single chain solver, you can do a lot of nice things with this because it has this rotation. You can just parent this to another object and it will inherit the rotation of that object. While with this one, you always need to have an extra object to manipulate it. That's it for the single chain and the rotate plane IK handle. Then we still have one more, and I'm going to just create a chain of bones. And then we have the IK spline. What this does is if I select the root and the end, it will generate a curve on which the joints will be attached to. We can auto-create the curve, or we can create a curve ourselves with the amount of spans and vertices that we need. But most of the time I'm inclined to use the auto-create curve and then rebuild the curve for what I need. So let's say we want 4 spans. What it now created is the IK handle. This IK handle uses now the spline solver, and we have a curve. If we move this curve, you can see that all bones move with it. And if I now move a point of the curve, let's remove my selection of the bones. If I move this out of the way, you will see that the bones will follow the curvature of this curve, while all the bones are attached to it. Let's show all the local rotation axes of these bones. And they will always point towards the next bone. And they will try, or what they're always doing is they keep the same distance that we set up in the beginning. So if we have the distance here, while we move the curve out of the way, you can see that they slide over the curve that we have. If I press 3, it will have a little bit more precision. As you can see, it slides over the curve, but the distance of the bones doesn't change. And now I've created a curve. Let's show the CVs. And let's isolate select. As you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. I can easily rebuild this curve to have more or less points by going into the curve rebuild options, single span. So now I have 4 points, and if I go out of isolate mode and I move one of those points, it still follows. So it didn't break anything while rebuilding. So that's something you can use for tails, spines, and other stuff like that. There are some extra options in this IK handle, just like we had the twist. We have some extra twist solvers or attributes, and we're going to use these in the tutorials. So that's it for the extra bonus on the IK handles. Thanks for watching.